Automatically, I see this coaching change, and I wonder what that means for the future of some of these players on this roster. And then I look at a guy like Jakob Chychrun, Rosie, who's a year and a half away from UFA status, and he sees just the dismay around him. And I just wonder what he's thinking as he approaches UFA and he makes $4.6 million next season. Like, and then you try to tie that into the Maple Leafs, like he would be just a perfect fit for this team. And I think at the very least, he's on the periphery. He has to be. I think a lot of teams in this league will be monitoring what the Ottawa Senators do over the next couple months. Again, maybe they get back into the conversation for the playoffs. Maybe it's even premature to talk about Jakob Chychrun as a guy who could potentially move out again. But I think he's a guy who would make a lot of sense for a lot of teams. And certainly the Maple Leafs would be at the forefront there, no?
Didn't we just have 4-point-something Schmilly open up on the back end? Dude, yeah, I look at him like stud, like first-round pick. He's only 25 years old, tons of offensive upside. But you look at some of the dumpster fire teams that he's been on, and his plus-minus is pretty solid. Like, aside from 1 year in Arizona, if you even want to call that an NHL franchise, they're struggling away when he was there. And I got to take those numbers with a grain of salt. But I mean, for how they've been doing and performing is not very well, losing games like end over end. And he's only -1. Points are over a point a game. And he's, you got to think some of those are on the power play too. So he's keeping the puck out of his net too, which is the big thing I look at when you're signing an offensively talented defenseman, going, okay, that's fucking great. But the Maple Leafs don't need help with that. Obviously, we need help keeping it out of our net. And it looks like this is a guy where the numbers right. You got that money open up on the back end all of a sudden, and he seems to cover the bases. I think he's a stud. Maybe you could sign him long term, and he could be one of your staples back there with Morgan Rielly. I mean, I think very highly of a move like that if we could get it done.
Well, I think you're right. It checks a lot of boxes. I think the only thing it doesn't check is that he shoots left, right, and not right. And everybody's looking for that right-handed shooting guy to potentially play with a Morgan Rielly. But I think you look at the player specifically. Again, I think he checks a lot of boxes, but I will tell you now, it's going to cost you like a first plus. I think Minton or Cowan would have to be in there. Like, I don't think Ottawa is just going to deal this guy for the sake of dealing him. Like, I think only way they trade him is if they get value in a trade. And I just think the Leafs are in a bit of a pocket, a bit of a window. Granted, they have Matthews re-signed, but they got some money to disperse over the next couple of years, obviously with some of these contracts to Nylander and Marner and Tavares to figure out that I think you have to go for it. If you see obviously that opportunity to win a Stanley Cup, we've been saying this for a couple of years, and there could potentially be a guy like Jakob Chychrun out there. I think you have to be at the forefront, as they were, it sounded like, when he departed Arizona. But I just think it would be a good fit, and ultimately that's what came to my head when the Ottawa Senators made the coaching change, and you start to wonder about some of the players on that roster.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What are you willing to give up for, say, a Jakob Chychrun? What if it's TJ Brody and Fraser Minton?
There's got to be a pick. Like, I don't know. I don't think Ottawa's just taking Brody. Like, he's going to be UFA at the end of the year. I would give up Minton or Cowan. I would do it. I think it's hard to find top four defensemen with pedigree that play with snarl. He's a bit of a hybrid. Like, I know a lot of people look at Chychrun and say he's offensive minded. I think he's actually much better defensively than people lead on. I do think he's a bit of a hybrid, and I would pay up to get this guy. Like, I think he's at a perfect age for this organization. I think he would pose as a great upgrade for what they have already. So I would pay the piper. How about you?
Yeah, I'm on the same thought process. Like, the time is now. Let's get it done. Unload what you need to get what you need. Either you're making a run or you're not. You're not going to dip your toe in the water and go on a run. You're either going to fucking do it or you're not. And people are going to freak out because we're getting rid of our future. But there's going to come a time where it's not working anymore. And, the time has sailed, and maybe you did it. Maybe you got it done. Maybe you didn't. But you can start being in the other boat and unloading off assets for prospects and picks and all that stuff as well, and get that stuff back. So I don't think you can straddle the fence, man. And I'm of the school of either you're fucking going for it or you're rebuilding. And the Leafs should be going for it right now. So get what you can and let's make a run. Let's do this thing. Fix your problems and see what you can do.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.